Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Parable Essentials. We are so glad that you have taken the time to tune in on doing the journey with us as we pioneer our young church parable. Whether you're a part of our serve teams, a part of our church, or our worshiping creative teams, or whether you are just a fly on the wall, we are so glad that you are here. And I know there will be people tuning in from everywhere. So hopefully you found a safe, secure area spot if you're driving. Maybe you're listening to this on audio, but don't watch us while you're driving. That's probably not a good idea. But listen, it is so great. My name's Peter. I have a friend with me today that is going to help us keep unpacking and shaping the culture that we are creating here at Parable Church. I want everyone to give a nice big warm welcome to one of my best friends, Jono Denton, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Jono, so great
Yes.
to have you on the pod. Parable Essentials, welcome.
It is so good to be here.
It
so
is.
Hello to all Parable family and who else is watching. But
Yeah.
it's an honour to be here.
It is. It's an honor to have you here. Jono, we go way back, but really quick for those of us that may not know who Jono is, or you've kind of, how long have you been a part of Parable now for? Last 3 months? No, coming up to 6 almost, I think.
Our first service was Christmas Eve,
Yes.
2024.
That's right. What were your feelings? What were you feeling when you first came?
Oh, look, there was a mix of emotions,
Nice.
all positive, obviously.
Oh, good. I was like, bro, what? Don't go too deep.
No, it was amazing.
Nice.
So our first service was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Quite impacting for us. I know that me and Kimmy left just knowing this is the right place to be.
Yeah.
And so we've loved it.
So good. Well, I want to get different people from our church on these podcasts, not only to get to know our church, but also to speak into some of the culture values and some of the principles that we're, really trying to build into our church. And, there may be folks here who are part of our church who may not fully know who you are.
Yep.
So you are married to Kimmy.
Yes.
You guys you celebrating how many years in August, right?
Well, I'm glad you asked me this question on a podcast.
Kimmy's watching, just so you know.
14 years.
14 years.
Yes,
Wow.
in August.
And you married a Texan girl from Abilene.
Abilene.
Shout out Abilene for anyone tuning in from Abilene.
One of the most beautiful places
in
the world.
Some would call it paradise. It's the Hawaii of Texas, they say.
Some would, probably only you would say that. But yes, it's a beautiful place.
Yes.
We just got back from there.
You did.
A week ago. So we had.
What's your favourite thing about Abilene? Just in case we do have an audience. Jono, we're going worldwide here. There may be people tuning in from Abilene.
Obviously, my in-laws.
Yes.
The most favourite part of visiting Abilene is my in-laws.
Right answer.
Beautiful family.
Yes.
Regardless of that, Texan barbecue.
Oh, how good's Texan barbecue? The brisket.
I came back a little bit heavier from my 4 weeks in America.
Yes, you've come back with a burden on your heart. Yes.
Burden on my heart. Yep, a tire on my stomach. I love Texas.
Yes.
Really cool.
And you have 2 beautiful young children as well.
Yep.
Daisy and Dallas.
Yes, Daisy and Dallas.
Who are a ball of energy, both of them. Dallas tackles Jack pretty hard these days. It's good for Jack because Jack's in rugby league, which is the real football over here in Australia.
Yes.
But you guys have just been not only an incredible blessing to church, but I think to Laura and my life personally, which we'll get into that in a moment, because I want to visit a topic today that I think is going to be essential for every person on our team and every leader that may be watching right now. But we've known each other since day dot. We grew up in church together, really.
Yes.
We've done a lot of life together.
Yep.
You've been part of my groom's party.
We'll say bridal party.
Bridal party. Yes. I thought the bridal party's just for the bride. Or no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. You've been a part of my bridal party. I've been a part of yours.
Yes.
We've done a lot of life together. We still are doing so much life together. So I want to speak into that, but I want you to tell me a little bit, just for those that are getting to know you. You've just taken on some of the coming alongside some of our team when it comes to helping us really turn decisions into disciples. And really, I've asked you and Kimmy to come alongside and really help us ensure that our church is being discipled. And that's from our home groups, which is looked after by Sam and Soph, who are incredible, the Casses, and then now new people, new Christians, with shout out Winston and Marielle and other areas. I've asked you to kind of really get your hands involved with our generations and keep taking that from strength to strength. What's been one of your favorite things that you've noticed about Parable Church as you've come to be a part of this journey?
Yeah,
just off the top of your head.
That's great. Great question. I think authenticity.
Yeah.
It's great. Like after church, and we're hanging out, eating food with the congregation, and talking, and meeting new people every single Sunday, meeting someone new, and it's always great to hear, without even asking the question of how's it been, how's the experience been, and they always come back of everyone's just so nice and real, authentic, and it keeps people coming back, and people can connect. I love hearing the stories of not just saying hi to someone, welcome, it's actually getting them connected, plugged in, hearing stories of people going out for lunch for the first Sunday with people within our church, and then they're coming back, they're in a connect group. Authenticity has been the big one of people authentically love the church and love his people, and you can see that through the interactions within congregation. That's been a big thing for me and Kimmy to kind of observe and see.
So interesting you say that, because that's one of the biggest praise reports, if you like, or feedback that I hear from a lot of people that, visit our church or come to our church for the first time. They always just mention how kind and warm and authentic people are. And that's the thing that stands out to them. And I always find it interesting because I'm like, wait, isn't every church kind of meant to be like that, But I think that's really cool in these early days to have that stand out about the church that we are building. And I think that really does come down to the people, and it's people that shape the culture that we're building. And so for you to feel that and observe that and sense that, that's a really good sign. And I think we're on the right track.
Absolutely.
And I think these days, particularly this next generation, they're not looking for something always polished. They're not looking for something that's just, always like schmick and neat. What people are looking for is authenticity at the end of the day. And all you got to do is look on social media these days and look at some of the videos that people post. They're not polished sort of Hollywood, Steven Spielberg sort of videos. They're just real and authentic videos. And I think that's one of the marks we want to have as a church, that you can be real.
Yes, that's massive. Yeah, I think there's such a fatigue for the last few years, even social media, such a fatigue of being too polished, whether it be in society or even in church. I think especially that next generation of kind of, it's interesting observing that next generation of, they're kind of over it. They're done with it. And they can see it a mile away as well. So even if we tried to be polished, I think they can see right through it. So it's better for us just to be ourselves. I think there's such power in that.
It's so true. And I think that's the sort of church we want to be a part of and we want to build. And not to say that we don't want to do things excellent, because something I've always said to our leaders and our teams is, I know people have their opinion on excellence, a spirit of excellence. And I'm a big fan of a spirit of excellence, because excellence to me is the removal of distractions. If you come in and something doesn't have the spirit of excellence to it, if your worship team, by the way, we have an incredible worship team, but if your worship team are kind of just rocking up, not knowing the songs, not singing the right parts, if they don't have a spirit of excellence, well, that's going to be a distraction. Right? That's going to be a distraction for people. And yes, the argument, well, then we're here to worship God. Yes, but the worship team is there to help lead us in worship. And if there are distractions, well, that's going to take away from the main thing, which is all eyes on Jesus. And so I think when I think of spirit of excellence, I'm not thinking about polish. I'm thinking of like, how do we ensure that we remove distractions for people? I think that's why we have a kids ministry. Not only do we want to minister to our kids, we're not babysitting our kids. We're wanting to raise and disciple young people to be radical Jesus followers, but we also want to remove the distraction for parents. Not that your kids are a distraction, But
They are. Yeah.
but it would be hard to focus in on a service if I had my kids all over me.
Absolutely.
And so how cool that we have a spirit of excellence that can provide a kids ministry, not a babysitters club, a kids ministry.
No. Shout out to kids ministry.
Shout out to kiddos.
They're actually really, really good. It's always great to, when we drive home from church, ask the question, how was kids' church today? And hearing the reflections and like, wow, did a better job than I do at home. They do a very, very good job.
They do. Well, Jono, I wanted to visit a topic today that I think will be beneficial for leaders tuning in right now. But I wanted to talk from the topic of, and have a conversation with you about how important friendships are, not just in general, how powerful community is, but how friendships are so important, especially when you're in leadership. I want to unpack that with you today. I was actually reading this morning Proverbs 17:17, and proverb a day keeps the fool away. That's what I like to say. So I think it's important to get in. Proverbs is one of my favorite books of the Bible. So much wisdom there. But it talks about in Proverbs 17:17 says this, a brother is born for adversity. And, when I look at your life and I look at the person that you are and the blessing that you have been to me personally, when I look at that verse, I picture someone like you who has been a brother that has been born for adversity. You're not just a brother in the good times, but you're a brother that has turned up in the worst of times. And I think, something that I have generally heard, it's for leaders, is that, it's lonely at the top. And I actually don't think it needs to be lonely at the top, whatever the top looks like. And I'm speaking, I know, to all leaders right now, and many leaders are part of our church. But I think having friendships around you where they know the best of you and they know the worst of you.
Yes.
And I think that's so important in leadership. And I'm obviously talking about having a strong faith community around you.
Yeah.
Yes, we know that. That's the beauty of the church, is we are planted in a community. But I guess I want to zone in on friendships and how life is going to throw adversity. Life is going to throw a challenge or two your way, and how important friends are. Talk to me a little bit about just generally what's your thoughts on just friendships and how important they are in life and in leadership.
Yep. It's such a timely discussion right now that you're having this question. I actually was looking at a video of this Christian psychologist, and he talked about some of the most joyful people in the world have 4 things that they invest into or they make sure they're aligned with. And the first one was our faith. So having like a daily, whether it be Bible, prayer. Second was family. Third was, I guess, what you do, your work or your calling. And the fourth one was friendships, which I found super interesting. And for me, that rings quite true. Friendships have been super important to me from the get-go, and obviously we've done a lot of life together, grew up in church together, and I am very, very thankful for the friendships that I have. There's a joke if we talk about it on my wedding day when we did the speeches. When I did the speeches for the groomsmen.
Wow, you're going there, not me.
I'm going there. But I was quite emotional.
Yeah.
Like, I cried for talking about those relationships, those friendships, because obviously regardless of church and faith and my amazing parents who raised and shaped me, your friendships really do shape you as well. Who you spend time with, who you invest into, who you let speak into your life really shape you. And I think it was just nostalgic in the moment and thinking back, man, this guy's really shaped me. I got emotional. Then I spoke about Kimmy and I was dry.
So just real quick, we're at Jono's wedding. Beautiful day, beautiful wedding. Jono's giving, it's come Jono's speech time. Now, usually at these at weddings, it's an opportunity for the groom to just talk about his bride and how his dreams have come true, and you want to see the groom give teary-eyed speeches to his bride. But on this particular day, Jono, or on his wedding day, he said, "Thanks, Kimmy. and was like dry-eyed and, kind of was like, thanks, Kimmy. So great. We got married and whatnot.
This is a little bit of salty.
And then he turned to the boys, his friends, his groomsmen, and he looked at the boys and he was like, boys. And like, he lost himself. And it was just so amazing to be one of those groomsmen receiving that sort of like, praise, if you like. But you're looking at your bride going, hey, what about me?
And 14 years later, I keep hearing about it. Hey, I love you, Kimmy. Honestly. No, so true. But friendships are so important. Obviously, we've had such amazing times together, had some pretty low times together as well.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to have someone or people in your life that you know their flaws, you know who they are behind the scenes,
So good.
And they can call it out on you. But also you feel, I guess, safe enough to be vulnerable to actually share where you're at also.
I think of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, who were thrown into the fire. If you know this story, they didn't bow down and they were thrown into the fire. But I always just think about like that friendship crew, they were willing to stand in the furnace together. And I think that's what you need to build in your life. All of us have to take personal responsibility to like build those friendships and find those friendships actually, which I want to talk about that soon. But, and finding those friendships that will be, you go, this is not only a good friendship, this is a God friendship who will walk through the fire with me, who will stand in the furnace with me. For you and I, it the last 3 or 4 years has, we've walked our own different journeys out of just navigating shifting sand and seasons and personalities and, families and whatnot. And I felt like you stood in the fire. And you know what? We could have had a difference in opinion on things and we could have had a different view on things, but I think there was something early on as we walked through this fire together. We made a decision early on, like this is not going to affect our friendship.
Yes.
And talk to us a little bit about that. How did you come to that point where it was like, oh man, we're walking through fire together, in both our worlds, in both our families, in different ways.
Yeah.
Like what made you go like, we've got to protect this friendship?
Look, obviously I cherish it. Like I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah.
And I think in those moments of, it's got hostility and craziness, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you, like I said before the start of this, of when you invest and you align yourself for relationships and friendships, it takes time. You've got to build into that. I think it just showed a real strong foundation of like, hey, I love this guy. And he loves me too. Love his family.
Yeah.
I go, we're God's bigger than this.
Yeah.
This is a God friendship. This is a God relationship, and this is someone that I want to continue to be friends with.
Yeah.
And I think that was just. It wasn't honestly. I feel it wasn't longer than 10 seconds. It was like, all right, let's catch up. Let's put everything on the table.
Totally.
Okay, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's get through it. And I found that season to be really amazing for me personally.
Wow.
And I just felt like we're both going, like I said, through the fire in different
ways,
different angles, different seasons. But I felt like we caught up more than ever in that moment, almost weekly of like, okay, let's go to lunch, let's get coffee. Where you at? How you doing?
Wow.
Some days really good, some days not really good, but it was just a safe place to go. This is where we're at. And actually, it did. I felt it really brought us even closer. We were already close as it was, but even closer through that season. So,
because I think for folks that walk through fire, let's call it crisis, I think sometimes friends can, for different reasons, and they might be like valid reasons, they can abandon each other because people don't know how to walk through crisis. They don't know how to have tough conversations.
Yes.
And I think that's why I look at this scripture, Proverbs 17:17. A brother is born for adversity. A brother is born for challenging times. It doesn't say a brother's born only for the good times.
Yes.
And I felt like as we've navigated, and by the way, what I mean by, saying different perspectives and different views, I want to validate that by saying that I think we had different vantage points.
Yes.
And different perspectives, not necessarily like different opinions. all opinions aside, I think we had different vantage points. Had a vantage point, you had a vantage point, and we had to try and work this out together, because if not, I think it would have ripped us apart. But also I think it would have, because I saw in this same fire, many friendships get destroyed, and they weren't mature enough to have these conversations. But I realized early on, like as a leader, man, I need friendships in my life that can call me out, and bring correction. You know,
you don't want, I guess, friendships of eggshells either.
Yeah,
you do want confrontation. I guess that word.
Yeah,
use that word, but just seeing things, whether it be calling out or also just calling out a situational scenario that's like, this could go pear-shaped if we don't confront this together.
Yeah.
Not necessarily calling anything out in that moment of you personally. It was more, this could be a situation for us we need to navigate together.
Yeah.
Let's just call it out and let's work through it. And it's amazing when you confront something like that. It's almost like this weight off your shoulders of like, oh, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
I feel it was an even keel the whole way.
Yeah. And I think, as you're right, like I think it's only strengthened our bond, and both our families and our friends, and the foundation is Christ Jesus, and that's what we want to build off. What would you say to like those that are part of our church and part of our team that are, we're a new church, still trying to find our feet, probably still trying to find, okay, who are my people? How do you do that? Like, do you have any thoughts of like, because like I feel like you and Kimmy have come in and you've been part of our church, since Christmas Eve, as you said. And how do you like find your people? Especially what if you're introverted? What if you are?
Yeah.
You might be key involved in our church, and you might be running at a certain level in our church, but then you're still trying to find your people. Would you give any advice to anyone? Like, how do you find your people?
Yeah, I'm definitely more introverted. If you meet me and Kimmy, I'm very much introverted especially compared to Kimmy. Like the amazing benefit we have as being Christians and part of a church community is that we can find God's, like, I think the God-centered relationships is obviously the key.
Yeah.
Find that. I don't think, I've had this discussion with someone recently, they struggle with relationships and friendships. They're trying to find someone, a carbon copy of themselves.
Wow.
So they're trying to be, I want someone who's aligned with everything that I like.
Oh.
So opinions or even hobbies, everything. And just having that discussion with them was like, you're not going to find, you don't want to find someone like, you want to find someone who's actually different to you.
Yeah.
There's going to be some similarities. We got some things are very similar, but we have a lot of things that are very not similar. I think that's really important because I think that's how you get sharpened.
Right.
So my advice would be, don't go in with this checklist of they need to be this and this and this and like this and they don't like that. I don't want to spend time with them. It's got to be more open. And I think that was Jesus' way. So look at Jesus in the Bible, the disciples and the people he came across. So obviously opposite. Like Jesus is perfect, but everyone was so different.
Yeah, so true.
We can't go in that mindset of then to align everything that I represent or do or like, because you won't find that person. It'll actually make your world a lot smaller. We talk about in the Bible, like the life of the generous gets larger and larger. I feel that with relationships as well. Wow. If you kind of open yourself up to, okay, I'm open to hanging out with this person, and it's amazing. Some of the friends even I've made in Parable of late, if I went back 15 years ago, probably wouldn't even give them a chance, and as you mature, and then sitting back, I'm like, man, this person's unbelievable. Like, what an amazing person. What if I had that small mindset of, they're not like me, it won't work. Whereas we go in open-minded. So I guess my advice would be, come in open-minded.
Yeah.
Don't have a checklist for people. I think obviously being God-centered is like the big one.
Yep.
But everything else can kind of fall into place.
I think that sheds so much light on the scripture in Proverbs, which is iron, as iron sharpens iron, so a brother sharpens another. And I think it's so, because if you think about iron sharpening iron, I don't know if you've ever put two pieces of iron together and done that.
I definitely haven't.
Okay. Well, it's not exactly the nicest sound in the world. It's actually a bit like there's friction, there's tension.
Yes.
And I think that's part of working out friendships is I love what you said about like don't have a checklist. I mean, you could apply this just to dating and relationships for all
Absolutely.
folks single. I think we can approach like I need to find a carbon copy of myself, but actually relationships are actually built in some of the gaps and in the differences um and I love that we have a diverse intergenerational sort of church. There's so many folks to to call your friends. I've loved watching people within our church at this point in time, like new to the journey, but like they're in home groups.
Yep.
They're a part of discipleship groups. They're finding one, they're forming one. The cool thing, like Laura and I used to say, like, when we still kind of say it, is like, oh, if you're new or visiting, we usually say it's all good because we're all kind of in that season.
Yes.
We're all kind of just working this out,
Yep.
including Laura and I,
Yep.
because we're only a church that's only just over 12 months young.
Yep.
And I think in these pioneering days, it's okay, relax. We're all kind of just trying to find our feet and find our people.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just so important in a community, but I think you've got to be bold as well.
Yes.
Right?
I think it's the beauty of the Christian faith is the older you get, the more mature you get in your faith, you understand, okay, it's a faith journey the whole way.
Yeah.
I think relationships is that. There's a faith step element to it, even friendships. Like I said, we can't box a friendship. We can't, like I said, the carbon copy, go, oh, this will work, this will be easier because they'll like everything I like and we get along fine. Where it's relationships are also faith steps as well.
Yeah.
And there's been plenty of times in the last few months where we can be invited out for a coffee or a lunch or dinner with someone that we've only just met and we're like, take a deep breath. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes.
Mm.
And it's amazing the beauty on the other side of it, of the faith step of like, wow, this person's unbelievable. Like, these are beautiful people. And you have to step out in faith.
Talk to me about like I've seen you have to navigate friendships because seasons change, geographical locations change, but like how do you walk through friendship changes? I remember you talking about one of our mutual friends who, because they may have not been a part of the same church anymore or same faith even, they were like, so what's this friendship? And they asked you that question. They're like, so what's this friendship about now? Yeah. How do you navigate seasons where, who God's called you to and with changes? Does it change? And, how do you navigate that on an emotional level? You feel like, oh, I've grown up with this person. This person's been loyal and I've been loyal and now things have changed. Is that normal or is that? Yeah,
it definitely happens. And it's not to say it's not hard. It's definitely not easy. There's some things we can control and some things we can't. We can't control people in their decisions also. I think the navigating sense of that is that you always keep the door open for those friendships whenever they're ready. But the beautiful thing, I guess, this journey of faith is when a relationship kind of closes or goes a different direction, it's amazing what God opens in the future when you be diligent and step out in faith in that sense. So, yeah, for me, I guess navigating that it's definitely painful, but just trusting in God of like, hey, God, this is not how I want this relationship to kind of end. I'm obviously believing it's not going to be the end, but a season of this right now, but just believing, Father, for the future. Yeah. It's amazing when He always comes through.
Totally. I think of just being in ministry and being a pastor and especially in this case, being a lead pastor of Parable. I think for me, I've made a decision early on, whilst we have all the accountability and governance and, spiritual oversight and leadership and all the stuff that I think senior pastors need as a support to what we do to build a church. For me, one thing I want to instill as a leader is solid friendships. And I alluded to this at the start, how people who know the best of me, people who know the worst of me, but also people who are I feel safe around to drop my guard. And that doesn't mean, doing silly things, but I think pastors, and if there are pastors listening to this, I want to encourage you to have friendships in your life that you do life with. You don't actually have to be lonely at the top. And I get that I get one side to that because it is lonely because the buck stops with you with some decisions.
Yes.
It is lonely because, yes, pastors are held accountable to God for the sheep that he's entrusted us with. It is lonely that you have to live with the decisions you make or you don't make. So yes, in one sense, but it doesn't have to be lonely when it comes to doing life with people. And I think decision I made early up, the more early on is for Laura and I is we just want to have friendships around us that we can laugh with, have a joke with.
Yeah.
Sad to me when I meet ministers and pastors who they're one way on the platform and they preach with faith and this authority and this boldness, but they kind of seem lonely off the platform. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to live like that. And I mean, I want to hopefully try and be the same person on and off the platform, but also be normal enough to go, yeah, we go away with friends on holidays. Yeah, we go and, go for a picnic or whatever. We go and hang out. We go to the footy together. And I love that, my friends can have a stab at me, I can have a stab at them, and it's part of the Aussie culture. You kind of just tease each other. I get no respect around here, but that's all good. But I think that's really important. I think it's healthy for a leader to have that in your life. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, we talked about, you asked a question around what have you seen, what's been taken away from parable. I talk about authenticity, and end of the day, that's from leadership. You and Laura, very authentic people. So you guys are a platform. You guys are that. When you're the funny, crazy guy, you're the funny, crazy guy off the platform. Yeah. You're the wise encourager. You're that guy off the platform as well.
Yeah.
I think the authenticity on platform transferring over to off platform is quite powerful, but just showcasing the people that you guys are just normal people.
Yeah.
You're not on this upper echelon on this stand above. Like, you're a normal person.
Yeah.
With normal situations with kids who drive you crazy.
Yeah.
When you're driving kids to footy in school, like, you're a normal person. I think you guys done so well to kind of showcase that and putting people in your life that you listen to.
Yeah.
That can call you out on something.
Yeah.
Like I said, have a go at you have a go at them.
Yeah.
It's very, very healthy, and I think showcasing that obviously breeds a healthy culture within the church also.
I think it's so important because at the end of the day, you got to realize you're human and you're never above anything. I think for anyone listening is make sure you put people in your life that are not just voices, because there's lots of voices. YouTube's a voice, TikTok's a voice, your next door neighbor's a voice, but trusted voices. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
People that you've done the journey with, where they've got your best interest.
Yes.
And I would want my friends around me to call me out. It's like, hey, this seems a bit out of character, or hey, do you think just always, because again, they know the best of you and they know the worst of you. And I want to encourage anyone that's involved in ministry or serving to not feel like you have to do ministry alone. Ministry should be so fun. It should be adventurous, and it should just be done with people that you love, and people that everyone. My prayer is that everyone would find their people.
Yes.
And I know sometimes that can take a little bit of time. So I'm definitely not playing down that can be a bit of a journey, and it's not something that happens overnight, but I think it does happen. And God, if you pray those prayers, I really do believe God will put the right people around you.
Absolutely. I think we talked about obviously transition of season and us coming to parable, obviously you guys starting parable, but the big thing for me, Kimmy, was obviously our community people was predominantly in another place. And that was a big wrestle for us of like, okay, what? And again, it was that trust in God season of like, hey, God. And obviously, friendships go beyond that stuff as well. So we still have relationship and friendship. True. It was that, I guess that carnal thinking of, oh, if I don't go here, I won't have that relationship. But then it's amazing taking that step and just me and Kimmy being very, I guess, diligent and disciplined and like, okay, we need to actually grow our relationships within parable also. We obviously know a few people.
Yeah.
We're blessed to know you guys and a couple of others, but we had to be disciplined to actually open those doors in further. Go, let's build
make a bigger circle.
Make a bigger circle, more people, get more relationships, and it's been It's been beautiful, and obviously it's the door was ever open.
Yeah,
it continues to grow. So it's you've taken away from this podcast. It's like relationships are a faith step.
Yeah,
you have to be up for
I
it.
love that. Relationships are a faith step. So good. And I'd encourage anyone, just as we conclude, to be bold, to walk across the room, shake someone's hand, introduce yourself. I loved talking to a couple on the weekend who I asked. I know this couple, and they, they're finding that their people and their friends and their community, and they said, yeah, we're just taking this couple out to lunch that we met. They're trying to work out finding their folks. So cool. We were like, we're in the same position, so let's just go out to lunch.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it means to gather as the church, and not just know that we are created for community, but know that we are created to create community.
Yes.
It's innate in us. God's put this ability in us, not to just wait for community to happen to us. And I think if we're not careful in our Christian culture in 2025, is that we live our Christian walk through consumerism. Like we consume, so we wait for things to come to us. We pick, we select. But following Jesus isn't just consuming, apart from the all-consuming fire. But it's actually about devoting yourself.
Yeah.
And you've got to devote yourself. So you've actually got to take personal responsibility to actually go, oh, hold on, I'm not just going to wait for community.
No.
I'm going to build the sort of church that I want to be a part of, in the sense of I'm going to help create community.
Yes.
So because we hear pastors say, you were created to belong, or you were created to, to be a part of a community. But I'd like to say you're created to actually create community as well.
Yeah.
So build the people around you that you want to be a part of,
Yes.
Be a part, not just of the answer, but actually be the answer.
Yes.
And
you attract from that.
That's right.
You definitely attract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Well, such a good conversation today. And again, we're going to visit topics over the next few weeks where we're just talking about some things. And this is honestly just us kicking back on two couches and just talking about life and ministry. But I think friendships, community, faith community, especially in service, in serving God, is just so important. You don't have to do life alone.
Yep.
And so I love what you have contributed today. You would have helped so many people. So thanks for being here today. Is there any last and departing words that you would want to say before you head off?
Oh, look, I love you, mate.
I love you, mate.
We'll finish with that.
Bromance. How good's bromance?
Absolutely. I love you, Kimmy.
No, it's this, Kimmy. It's I love you, Kimmy. Bro. Anyways, so good. Thanks for being here today, Jono.
Thank you.
We just wanted to say thanks again for joining us for this topic for today, which is friendship and ministry and being a part of a faith community. We hope that you can keep returning back to this podcast, subscribe, like, share this. We hope that it blesses you. So thanks for joining us today at Parable Essentials. Peace out.